I hope you're having an amazing day. My name is Colin, and in this video we're going to have a look at MonkeyBall. We're actually finally preparing for the launch. In under 24 hours. MonkeyBall will be listed on Raydium and one major centralized exchange, which I will announce later in the video. So we're going to have a look at the complete price prediction. Is this still a viable investment, and what are the opportunities? Nothing in this video is financial advice. It is for entertainment purposes only. Let's have a look at MonkeyBall. So MonkeyBall obviously went through some struggles not too long ago with the miscommunications that were happening. There were quite some problems with the overall audience, how they reacted to that, and I covered this in previous videos. So I will drop those two videos in the description down below. So now it's not really about participating in the IDOs anymore, because the listing is going to happen. I have all the information on MonkeyBall right here. We will prepare a moon sheet to see what would be a good entry point if you want to buy MonkeyBall, what would be a good exit strategy if you want to sell MonkeyBall. Everything covered in this video today. All right, this is the MonkeyBall announcement. They are psyched. Basically, the launch is happening on the 21st at 9 AM EST, 2 PM UTC. Raydium plus a centralized exchange, which has already been announced, so we'll cover that later, because that is very much important in the price prediction. That's why I waited with the update, because I need to take this centralized exchange into consideration. I thought it was going to be a small one. It is actually a major one, which is really good, big potential. All right, so Sunday the centralized exchange is announced. Tuesday it's happening, and on Wednesday they're launching a rewards program. So obviously I will address everything. For IDO participants that received an allocation as the designated time, you'll be able to claim your MBS by logging into your Star Launch dashboard. The bottom will read buy, will now read claim, and then you can claim step by step. All right, the 1 million MonkeyBall token giveaway. As promised, on December 9th, we'll be airdropping 1 million tokens to the community, excluding VCs and pre-sale investors. Breakdown, so basically it's a compensation for them fucking up the initial launch. Do I think this is beneficial? Well, you do get free tokens. Will this devalue the token itself? Yes. 500,000 goes to IDO participants that received an allocation, increasing their prospective allocation by 5% for free. What you have to understand, in this world, nothing is free. So basically, they're going to give everybody 5% free tokens, which means that your total tokens that you would initially receive are now losing value by 5%, which we would call inflation, right? Or this is basically not appreciation. They're not becoming worth more, they're becoming worth less, in simple terms, right? The pool of supply grows and the demand stays the same, which then it's not really for free, what you have to understand, in my opinion. So 500,000 goes to all holders, excluding VC and pre per a snapshot taken on Raydium 7 days after listing. I think this is a lot smarter, because this is cutting supply, basically reducing the circulating supply by motivating holders to hold and rewarding them. So I don't think the 500,000 to IDO participants makes any sense. I do understand that they want to compensate them, but that could have been done in a lot better way. For example, we will reward all IDO participants after 30 days, right? So that means you need to hold your tokens for 30 days, cutting the supply extremely and having therefore an additional benefit. Right now, nobody has a benefit, because the person who should have the additional benefit of receiving free tokens are going to screw it over because of the price that will most likely be less significant because of this. All right, the last couple of weeks have been rocky, nothing can stop us, blah, blah, blah. All right, so this is basically the announcement, right? What is important is that MonkeyBall will be listed, which we'll have to take into consideration, on 2 exchanges, of which one is DEX, which is Raydium. So when we look, for example, to the major ones, Uniswap 2 billion, PancakeSwap 1 billion, and Raydium is the biggest one on Solana, which is about 91 million, so definitely a lot less volume than one might expect. SushiSwap also very big, of course. Yes, just 91 million. So the price impact there, if it would only launch on Raydium, is relatively little, maybe normal, we could just say it, right? However, there is a centralized exchange and not a normal centralized exchange. So when they were talking about centralized exchanges, I was expecting it to be either MaxC, right, with 600 million in volume, or Gate.io, which would also be a good one, with 1.2 billion in volume. It is actually FTX, which is, I think, a great opportunity for MonkeyBall with about a $2 million volume. So what does this mean for all the videos I made previously, which were really negative? I am still quite negative about the MonkeyBall team and the MonkeyBall project in general. I have never been negative about the game itself or the opportunity to make money with this. Yes, the investment opportunity in IDO with Star Launch was terrible. The team is very shaky, which means that I am personally not going to invest in this coin because I invest in teams and not projects, right? I need to believe that the team has a long-term opportunity because generally I am interested in specifically that. However, I'm also here to express my opinion other than my own, right? From what I can see, with FTX, there will be a lot of price movement, which is obviously interesting for the price prediction that we're going to make. So let's focus on that. I am not personally going to be involved with MonkeyBall. That's just what I'm saying. Based on, I have no trust in this team. Do I think that you can make a good entry on MonkeyBall and be highly profitable? Yes. Why? Because of FTX, not because of Raydium. All right, so the multiplier is basically +1, and I want to see up until, let's say, a 20x, right? Which means that the price, therefore, basically goes times 2, and we need to fix this. So this is locked. The base, this is the pricing. So the pricing goes all the way up to 50 cents, right? 2.4 cents times 20. Then the market cap initially already starts off at about $1 million. I got this from CryptoRank. So they have a complete small moonsheet here with a 4.2% circulating supply. At a 1x, it's just over $1 million. And then we have the full tokenomics here, which we'll review in a second. Right, so I haven't verified this, but I'll take CryptoRank, as I always use them on my videos, as the example. So we're going to take the initial market cap and do that times the multiplier as well. And in addition then fix the starting market cap. Then as well put it to the accounting overview. Okay, that's easier to read. So basically, we're moving all the way from 1 million to 20 million, which makes sense because the multiplier goes to 20. 20 million market cap, still not that high. So I would like to drag it out up until maybe 100, just to see that we are thorough and we have done the proper analysis. I don't think it will go that far, but it could go that far. Let's see what's realistic, because we also have to take into consideration, obviously, the fully diluted market cap, and this is just circulating supply. So this is 100 million, right? Circulating supply, which the circulating supply at this point is only 4.2%. So we have two different rounds. One was 4 cents, the IDO price, and the moonsheet is actually based on 2.4 cents, right? As you can see, the specific spreadsheet, which was 5% TGE and 18 months linear vesting. The IDO itself was 4 cents with 400K to be raised, 50% TGE and 50% next month. Let me see what actually the Star Launch MonkeyBall IDO was, because I don't know top of my head. Obviously, I look at a lot of projects on a daily basis, and I'm not aware the actual price that one could get and the vesting that goes along with that. Okay, so they've completed 2 of them. Hang on. So it was 400K for this one. So access private. So 400K private IDO. So 400K must be this one, the IDO price. So you get 50% of your tokens, which I think vesting wise is really good, creates a good opportunity. And the price was 4 cents, right? So I'm going to adjust this. Bang. Right, perfect. So now obviously we're not going to go all the way until the moon, because that would require a $4 situation. So this is based on IDO, because I assume you watching, if you did participate in the MonkeyBall IDO, then 4 cents would be the way to start. Now we have to take into consideration FTX and Raydium, right? We could look at some launches on Raydium to see what the initial market caps would be, in which area we would like to be. So that's one thing I always like to do. Obviously, past performance is no indicator for future results. However, I do know various of these projects already on the Solana blockchain that have just launched, right? Or this year at least. So most of these projects did really well. So we get CryoWar, Star Atlas, Genopets, and SolChicks, right? So these are where we would like to look at the market caps. So this is 44 million, about very much died out at the moment. 44 million about 1 month after the launch. This is 35 million, also 1 month after the launch. And this is 200 million, 8 months after the launch. All right, SolChicks is not available just yet. But if we look, 1.2 fully diluted, 1.4 fully diluted, also 1.6 fully diluted. So it's also around probably, I don't know the circulating supply, but let's say 35, 40 million. And that's 1 month, right? 35, 40 million. So you're around this range, a 30 to 40x at that point. However, this is not 1 month after launch. For SolChicks, it's only 1 week after the launch. But we're going to be a little bit more conservative, right? I'm usually quite conservative with my predictions. I think that's best, then you're only going to be happily surprised. However, the FTX obviously will bring a lot of movement. So Raydium by itself, where most of these were launched, this is a mixture of Raydium with Maxi. This is a mixture of, I think, Raydium with Maxi, and later they added FTX. And as you can see, maybe this is a good example as well. Raydium carries half the volume that FTX is carrying, which is interesting, and Maxi is only carrying 1/10 of the volume that FTX is carrying. CryoWar, it was listed on KuCoin, which is quite interesting, and Gate.io as well. Gate pulling a lot of volume, which is great for them. Raydium only pulling 1/10 of the centralized exchange's volume. And then we got Star Atlas, also FTX, where FTX pulls a lot of the volume, even higher, but also does decent on Raydium. So it does differ project by project, apparently. However, this is a good indication, at least to consider, in my opinion, right? All right, so now we go back. So basically, I would say on the launch, there's always a lot of hype. So a 5x would be, I don't want to say inevitable, but we know that that will happen. Let me make it green, right? So 5x is usually on a launch like this, if everything goes well, very normal. That didn't happen on the SolChicks launch. Why not? Because there were a lot of problems, right? Solana crashed. Basically here, nobody was able to sell yet. So basically, as soon as the selling became available, there was a drop, and everybody who was trading at the initial start basically were the people who purchased from the airdrop, right? And the liquidity of the Maxi exchange. So this is not a good representation. Basically, it was stable, and this is where the claim happened. So people were not able to claim TGE. That happened here, and then it crashed to 17, and basically has been there ever since with some small up and downs. So with MonkeyBall, I do not expect the same to happen. I assume the Solana blockchain to stay active, especially because a lot of the volume will move to FTX and not stay on Raydium as long as they launch at the same time, right? That's something I'm taking into consideration for this prediction, that they are going live at the same time. So people who want to swap can swap on Raydium. People who can use FTX, use FTX. Basically what it means is that FTX will be for non-US, and Raydium will be basically for the US, because to be able to trade on FTX, I think they have FTX US as well, but I think that's like a separate exchange part. For FTX, you need to do KYC. That's also something that MonkeyBall on their Medium gives an explanation for, so we could look that up. Yeah, Medium, they have an explanation how to trade on Raydium, opening an FTX account. So it's all confirmed, which is really nice. Does not onboard or provide services to residents of the USA, right? And then some other countries as well, which is important to note because you will have to use Raydium. As well, the KYC on FTX requires 24 to 48 hours. So if you don't have a FTX account by watching this video, there's less than 24 hours until the launch, most likely you'll have to use Raydium, right? So anybody non-KYC, go to Raydium. So this is basically non-KYC, and then KYC goes to FTX. That is basically the thought pattern that I'm having. I believe a lot of people have an FTX account and a lot of people can do the KYC. However, on Raydium, the price, if they're launch stable, will be the same, right? There will be very little discrepancies because the arbitrage companies will try to close the gap, right? And probably the withdrawals are locked and deposits are available on any centralized exchange usually on the launch, so that will not be a problem to consider, right? Back to our multiplier. Where can things move? Where do I see the opportunity for MonkeyBall? So, you know, I'm trying to get away a little bit from my negative mindset on MonkeyBall, just because, you know, the way even the team wrote this message, I think they could have done so much better by paying some attention, but they're trying to do a good job. So definitely ignore that. Ignore the whole Star Launch disaster that happened. Right now we're looking only at the buying and selling opportunity. So let's first focus on the selling, and thereafter we can sketch a buying opportunity. As I did not get involved in this IDO myself, I'm not going to make my usual sell-off strategy, but I might give you some indicators if I would be involved, what exactly I would do, right? So basically there is some movement here. So let's say, how many tokens would there be? So tokens for sale, 10,000, right? And with a 400,000. So let's say tokens, and then raise amount. So 10 million, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then basically it's times the price, which would give you 400,000. Yes. Okay, perfect. So now the question is, how much would we, let's say, invest for the example? So I don't know, but let's say we invested $100, yeah? Just for example purposes, the tokens we would get, because then I can make a overview for you, which would basically give us 2,500 tokens, right? Which is then interesting because then we could make the sell-off strategy happen. So 2,500 tokens, how would we sell this with an investment of $100? Right, so I would definitely wait at least until a 5x, right? Looking at the other projects, sitting about a month in, and usually they were quite a bit higher on the launch. So if you look at the chart overviews after the launch, this one opened up really high. GenoPets, I think, also opened up really high. GenoPets was 18 cents, opened up at $13. So, and SaltChicks opened up initially really high due to some glitchiness. And Star Launch also opened up really high. So usually there's a lot of hype on the IDO and then it drops, right? With vesting of 50-50, in my opinion, the only right thing to do here is dump, right? Get rid of your tokens, preferably as soon as possible on the first vesting. As you know, that most of the Solana launches after the initial run. So GenoPets had a NFT announcement which required you to hold the token, so that's why it was quite stable in a linear trend, and as soon after the announcement occurred, bang, it basically died out. For CryoWall, I don't know exactly what happened. I didn't follow it that much, but it did quite good in the second week of that run. The Star Atlas was too long ago. Basically, there have been a lot of movement there. I know MonkeyBall specifically announced that there will be NFT updates coming shortly after the launch, or they're trying to bridge that hype. Yet, I would still just look to get my initial investment out. So this would be my most important move. In addition to that, I would also be looking to compensate my initial loss on Star Launch if that happened for you, right? So if we have $100, so generally I would like to do a sell-off in like 4 parts, right? So let's say part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, like a step ladder, not dump everything in one go, although there are not even that many tokens. Preferably equal distribution would be nice. So we just divide it by 4. Oh, hang on. Just divide it by 4, and then everything will be okay. So we're going to sell 625 tokens. At what price? And what would be the raise? And what would be the profit in that scenario? Right? Well, let's take the sums of this. And then the prices. So this is just my opinion. I'm just going to pick some prices, but probably after a 5x, maybe even on a 5x, I would already be happy. So probably I'll take this. Then I'll probably do a 2-step, because if I would do a 2-step, I would go all the way until a 10x, which I think is still feasible. So probably we'll do that. So 32 and then 40. In case it doesn't go that high, I at least sold some of my tokens, right? So this formula is actually quite simple. And then the profit is basically the raised amount minus bracket the investment divided by 4. Oh, my bad. Just go there, like so. Whoop. Drag it. Okay, perfect. So you would run on this schedule 6.5 times, which is, I mean, extremely conservative, right? We would be in about this range, which I think with FTX as a launch pusher, it might even do a lot more, right? A lot, when I say a lot. When we look at something that launched recently, which is also very hyped in the gaming space. So MonkeyBall is very hyped, right? There's a lot of demand for it, definitely. Chambi Valley recently launched, and it was really hyped as well. It did about currently 85x, and at the all-time high 112x, right? It did IEO on KuCoin, which I wasn't really a fan of, but it did really well. So this is an IDO with 50% TGE, so I would expect a lot less performance. There's 5% TGE against 50%. Then the private sale has 5% and then 18 months linear vesting. So the dump here will not be as significant. How many tokens in circulation are to be considered, right? Which I will add in a second, because for the entire calculation, the reason to explain why I'm not going to make up some Moonboy shit is that this is quite important here. So from the overall distribution, well, I can do it right now. So basically available distribution, right? So from IDO, the tokens, and then TGE tokens, and that's what you would have to understand. So the tokens in circulation are this, right? Available, I mean, and in circulation it's only 50%, so times 0.5, which brings it to about 500,000 tokens available, right? Which is the 10 million or 5 million. So 10 million divided by 2, because it's 50-50. Here we have 120 million at 5%. So the private tokens, private tokens are 120 million, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the TGE tokens are only 0.05, right? 5%, which still brings it to a higher numeric count of 5 million to 6 million, right? Which means that this as heavily influences the price as this, right? Where you might only look at your own tokens and the IDO allocation, The private allocation which is being released, although it's 10 times less according to the TGE, there is a lot more tokens there available, right? Which then means that they control the price more than the IDO distribution people do. Is it likely for private users to hold? Yes, because their vesting is a lot longer, 18 months. However, would it make sense for them to recoup their initial investment? Also yes, right? Especially because they got in a lot cheaper. So when we would look at their multiplier, right? Their multiplier basically starts at 0.024, right? So your profit in that scenario would be, so let's say, I'm just going to compare the profits, yeah? Just so you have a complete understanding why the private sale is very important to consider. So basically it is the price times the amount of tokens that you have minus the investment. We need to add one more bracket. Okay. Now we make this into a fixed formula. H9 also fixed. Yes. Okay, perfect. So this is your profits, right? It's the best column, what we all want to look at. The most important column. Bang, there we go. Now, in addition, the profit from the, let's say, private, right? And if you did join the private sale, then this might be very interesting for you, is basically a little different because their cost of the tokens, right? If you would have invested $100, right, is $100 divided by 0.024, which doesn't give you 2,500 tokens. It actually give you 4,000 this much tokens, many. So I'm going to copy this, right? And I'm going to say, right now, this is going to be I8, and C3, I8, and C3 is going to be B3 still. So then these guys are already in profit at this point, and their profit will be quite a bit more significant, right? As you can see. So their additional benefit to sell earlier for the same profit is through the multiplier. Let's see how much that is. So they are like 3 here. Yes, the larger the number becomes, the more steps they are ahead, right? So specifically the doubling point is about here, where they need 7, 11, yeah, they're always a little bit, they never really go across the doublement, but there's like, they are everywhere very far ahead because they just got the token so much cheaper. Yes, there is less TGE per person, but there's a total amount of tokens, which I think is important to consider because they will create a lot of buying pressure. They will be able to consider to sell earlier, right? So I think a 10x would make a lot of people very happy. Could it do an exponential 50x? Sure, I don't see why not, right? If there's enough demand. I haven't personally been keeping up with the project as much as I would like after some disappointing news about the project itself, but a 50x would bring the price to $2 with a 50K initial market cap. So that is definitely possible, right? So if we mark the major milestones, that is not necessarily impossible. I just don't think with the reputation they currently have that would happen. However, FTX could change that, right? And we haven't seen a Solana game being listed on FTX on the start to basically find that pattern, or at least the historic pattern of that opportunity. So in that case, is the answer would be we would have to see, right? Your profits could really go like 3x or more if you would watch the chart, The problem then is you might make an emotional decision, right? I always like to have my sell-off strategy to consider when to sell and how to sell, because I don't want to be influenced by my emotions when I see the chart go up and up, because at some point, especially on an IDO launch, it will crash. And I don't want to be the one holding the bag full of coins, which are worthless, or at least worth less. Specifically, look at this. This happened after days, right? This is not one launch, but like it crashed significantly. Cryo War, specifically on the initial launch, had its up and then a down, right? Not as significant, only like 15%, but that was like initial drop. So Genopass didn't get listed on the launch, so it was launched quite a bit later, but again, there was the initial drop here. SoulChicks had a huge drop, right? Can you imagine if somebody purchased here, they feel fucking stupid right now, right? Because literally after the launch, it hasn't done anything except drop more. And well, SoulChicks tomorrow is coming with a major announcement, but right, you feel quite stupid if you did buy in here, right? So that's why I recommend, or in my opinion, the only good thing to do is to have a proper sell-off strategy, specifically if you have 50% TGE, because you don't need to hold this project much longer. The main goal would be, as always, what I say about IDOs, get your initial investment back as soon as possible. Then on the next vesting, the other 50% here, you could make some profits, right? But make sure you get your investment back. Specifically looking at the selling pressure this creates, that private round, to be considered. Definitely don't skip that. Again, could this do 30, 40, 50x? Yes, but it would be a gamble. And I don't like to gamble. I like to take profits when I need to. And even if it does a 50x, that's great for your second vesting, right? But at least I would play sure on the first vesting. Now, the question really is, what we want to consider as well is the buying strategy, right? So if you want to sell, I think this would be good. I'll be very happy with a 6.5 return. Could this turn into a 30x return? Yes. But we don't have enough information right now to make that estimate. What if there would be a situation where we didn't buy, right? Like me on Star Launch, as a lot of people, we see the website, we look at the tokens, everything looks really cool. Is the contract address? It's already available, the contract address. That's nice. There's quite some opportunity, right? So what would we do exactly, specifically relative to the price, in order to get in on this project the most affordable way? So in my opinion, there are two choices that you have. Two very important choices, right? I'm going to go to the launch day for every available, and just so everybody is aware, CoinMarketCap data is usually available 1 day after the launch. So the data displayed here is not the launch data. It is 24 hours after the launch, which is important to consider for most projects, right? SoulChicks was really fast, but it did open on 80 cents, which is not in this graph, right? So very much important to consider that there might be a lower entry point, right? Two things. Do you want to take risk, right? Which is the main question. So the buying strategy right here. Risk, yes. Snipe the launch. No, wait for the dip. Why would I say wait for the dip? Because the dip always comes. There are too many people who buy into projects when the line goes up, they overplay their hand and it crashes. That would be your moment. Do not be too eager that as soon as the price dips, you buy, because that would be not smart. So here the price initially dips from 22.8 after a huge rally, right, to 21. Then it goes up more, but you see the real correction, or it's not even a correction, it's more like an adjustment, like a huge sell-off, was yet to happen. And this is a period of about just over 24 hours, right? This initial traction here before the huge dip happens. Cryo War, on the opening, just a little dip, then the buying spree happens, right? And we're talking about a 2-hour period here, and then it ends. 1 hour later, it corrects, and then it starts a free fall for the initial part. Does this last, however? No, right? Some days pass, like 3 days, and then it goes on to a huge rally up until the all-time high. And this is basically where you want to be. You want to buy somewhere in that red part, preferably usually here, right? Anyway, here is fine. Because at some point you got to make an entry. You can't wait, because everybody who basically saw the price go up here and bought here had another dip then, right? So you just got to pick an entry, whether it's 140 or 170. When you hold, then you'll see later you'll be happy. And of course, at some point you have to take profit, right? Unless you're holding for the long term. Same thing happened here. It went up, it went down, it went up, it went down, but no big falls. Here was like a big fall, 25 to 22. In my opinion, I would have sold here, right? During this dip. What happened as well is that it dipped even more before it went up to a new all-time high, right? And this is 2 days. So that could happen, but at some point you got to make an entry. So if you do not have the token, where basically you can't sell, right? Because I just said I would sell, but we're talking about buying, then I would have bought here on 22, right? When it drops from 25 to 22, I would have bought. Yes, there would be a better opportunity here, but I don't think you can foresee that unless you're like a super good trader, which I'm definitely not, right? Same thing with the Sol Chicks. If it goes up this aggressively, well, there are so many issues on the launch, right? People don't have their tokens, Raydium is offline, Solana blockchain doesn't work. Then you can expect a huge dip when the tokens are released. So you just have to be patient. If you're not patient, you're going to fuck yourself up by trying to get into these projects too early. Usually, one of the best rules is 24 hours after the IDO has been completed. Right, so 24 hours after listing would be usually your best entry point. When we look at all the IDOs, 24 hours after the IDO or after a major crash, right, correction, then that would be best. And that's just not even a correction, usually it's just a major sell-off from early investors, right? So that's usually your best point if you decide to go that route. What would you do if you snipe the launch? Well, that is one of the more difficult things. I'm not going to talk about bots or anything like that because I don't like that. But what if you would put entries? I would definitely not use Raydium in that example. I would definitely use the centralized exchange with the booking, right? The market price I would not use. I would definitely use limit orders to get that done. Basically, as soon as the listing happens, you can see where it opens, right? So whether you put your limit order at 10, but it's already on 20, then you just need to wait for the price to drop. I would not recommend to put limit orders above to catch the spike, because what you're doing is then you're doing this, right? So the chart is moving up and you're trying to catch it, which means that you're also not be able to catch the drop. So what I did on Sol Chicks, actually myself, was, that's maybe a good example. So that was on Maxi, which is again the centralized exchange that they used, and that's a good example. So I was here on the chart, but I didn't have my token. So I got my token somewhere here, right, at 15 cents, just like a day and a half after I should have gotten them, because there were so many issues. And I had about $30,000 worth of tokens. So it went up, then it went down, right? And I was just looking at the chart. So what I did already, I think on 33 cents, where's that? Yeah, somewhere here probably, at the end of the first day, yeah. So oh, this is 5 a.m. already the next day. No, it was still on this day, like 4 p.m., somewhere here. I put in an order for 11 cents or like 10.5 cents, right? First I did 20 cents and then I changed it later to 10.5 cents. Because I was like, if the sell-off is already happening and it's 25 cents, then there will be a huge sell-off when people can claim. So I put in 10.5 or 10.1 cents. I woke up the next day, people could claim. So I literally woke up at 8 a.m. So literally at that moment, people could claim. Bang, it dropped. And there were also huge sell-offs. So although the price didn't close ever at 10 cents, my order did get filled. So I bought 10,000 tokens at 10 cents. Which turned out to be literally the best entry point. I was quite lucky there. I think that the lowest it went was something like 9.6 cents. And it closed that hour at like 11.7. And now, obviously, that 10K has already a 50% gain, which was very nice. So that is something that I would do. I would just put a lower limit order because it's very likely for the price to drop. Unless you want to, let's say, flip the token. So maybe like buy on 10, sell on 12, then wait for it to bounce back to 11, sell on 13. But the odds of you being wrong if you have no experience is extremely likely. So in that case, I would only do a high limit order. So let's say the price at 20, you would put your limit order at 18, right, just below it. So as soon as it drops a little bit, you would effectively buy it. If you're looking to buy it, something like Cryo War for the longer term, right? Somebody who bought Genopads basically right here is not looking to sell here. They will wait until the project recovers, right? Which I think is a super cool project, so I think it will. It was 80 cents, 08. For the IDO, so still there's a tremendous return. Was the return better here? Yes, but still it still did amazing. It's still over like a 12x, 13, 14x right now. So that's great. The opportunities are definitely there. It's just how much risk do you want to take if you're buying? If I would be buying, I would not buy above a 10x, but that's also in line with my selling strategy. Could I be very wrong? I hope so. Because in that case, a lot of people will make a lot of money on a launch that wasn't smooth and a project that's quite unstable. So I hope if you participated in this launch that you will have an extreme benefit, and my predictions, according to this moonsheet, are very wrong. And FTX is going to blow up this project because I am a very big fan of all the Solana blockchain gaming projects. If you're not aware, if you're new to this channel. So I hope, of course, MonkeyBall does well, because MonkeyBall has a lot of eyeballs on it. Eyeballs, did you get it? MonkeyBall. It has a lot of focus, right? It has a large audience, and if this project does well, it would mean a lot for the Solana blockchain gaming and attract potential more new projects, which is what I want. So definitely, although I'm a little negative on this project, I don't mean to be for the long term. I think they're trying to recover and doing the best that they can. FTX has also announced it that they will list on the spot market MonkeyBall. So super excited, 50x, 100x, all possible. After the launch, they will do the NFT drop, the trailer, and a Pioneers Gear Up camp. Super excited. We'll see how it goes. I will definitely 100% follow the launch. I will also definitely not participate in the launch for the reasons that I've already stated. I think with the FTX, I don't have an account there, and I think it can really, really blow up. I will not feel bad if I miss out. I will just be very happy for you holding the token. If you have any questions about the MonkeyBall launch or my predictions, feel free to leave it down in the comments below. Of course, if you agree, great. If you don't agree, also great. This is just my honest opinion. If you like this video, feel free to hit that like button. I do really appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.